This is Ready Set Reiki, a podcast about Reiki, the universal energy life force. From the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready Set Reiki journey, we refer to ourselves as guides rather than hosts, as we too are traveling, supporting each other, and learning on this Reiki journey as well. And with that said, I am your guide, Tracy C. Wright. Now joining me today on my journey is Amy DeGroot. Now she lives in Vermont and has an active life playing tennis, skiing, biking, hiking, and kayaking. With her late husband, she raised two beautiful twins, a son and a daughter. Along with her love of being a mother, she has been a math teacher, bank trust officer, and tennis coach. She has always taken an interest in the pursuit of wellness, and in 2017, discovered the benefits of Reiki. Now, within months, her husband's life took a turn, and Reiki became an incredible resource for her while she and her husband battled the impacts that cancer had on his life. She turned to Reiki over and over again to help her cope with grief, deal with the various emotional challenges, recover from the physical pain, and to find joy in life. She found a passion for Reiki and loves sharing it with others. As a Reiki master teacher and practitioner, Amy offers classes, in-person sessions, and distance Reiki. Amy, welcome to Ready Set Reiki.
Thank you, Tracy. So happy to be here. Really appreciate it.
Wonderful. So let's begin our journey together. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I live in Vermont, and it's beautiful here in the summertime. As I said, I live a very active lifestyle, and today I was out for a bike ride. Yesterday was swimming in the lake. I love being in touch with my kids. I have two grandchildren as well now. I have a vegetable garden that I'm eating out of, and like I said, I coach tennis, so that was the activity this spring, and I'm very involved with my Reiki practice.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Vermont sounds like the perfect place for all the things that you love.
Yeah, it really is. It's really pretty here.
Wonderful playground for you, isn't it?
Definitely.
So when did Reiki come into your life? Did you find Reiki or did it find you?
I'd have to say that Reiki found me, Tracy. I've always had an interest in wellness, and I've enjoyed various modes of body work, but and had a desire to maybe do that sometime, but I didn't know how I could go about that. I have a back condition that kind of keeps me from doing like massage work or something like that. So in 2015, my husband was undergoing radiation for neck and throat cancer at the hospital, and they offered Reiki. And so he was a very open person, and so he said, yeah, he'd like to try it. And I asked if I could sit in on the session, and I came out thinking, wow, that looked easy enough. Maybe that's something I could do. But I didn't know how to go about getting trained. And 2 years later, I was looking through the course options in the evening adult classes that are held at the local high school, and I saw that Reiki was offered. And so I signed up, and I loved it. It was great. I'd come home all excited from the classes, and I'd practice with my husband, and really trying to integrate it into my life. And I was very excited about the idea of really pursuing Reiki because I loved it. And I wanted to sign up for second degree and maybe work towards possibly teaching it, because I've been a coach and a teacher most of my life. So I thought maybe this could be something I could do. Well, 3 months later, we got the devastating news that my husband's cancer had migrated to his lungs. And all of a sudden, the Reiki became something I was using all the time for myself to help with my anxiety. And for my husband, sometimes he would wake up in the morning with really intense pain in his chest. And I would just reach over and give him Reiki, and the pain would go away. And I thought to myself, I've only been doing Reiki for a few months, and it's already taking this intense pain away from him. This is incredible. So it really captured more of my attention. And so I was using Reiki for myself, and I was using Reiki for my husband every day. Every day, he would ask for Reiki or to meditate. And that's something we did together. So I started the second degree training. And in fact, my teacher, she was so wonderful. She initiated my husband in the first degree initiation so that we could share Reiki together. But after that training, and I would be giving my husband Reiki, I experienced extreme energy pulsing through my hands and my arms, and they would start to shake. I mean, really, really vigorous shaking. And I told myself, okay, just hang on, because I knew it had something to do with the energy, and this will subside. And so I would hang on and it would subside. And I talked to my teacher about that, because I thought, man, no one's going to want to have Reiki for me if I'm doing all this gyrating when I'm just be too weird. And she said, well, maybe it will subside as you get used to the energy. But Tracy, it actually hasn't subsided. It's gotten more potent, I would say. So anyway, I would continue to do the Reiki with him, and then he passed in a year later. And the Reiki became really important to me in helping me with my grief. And I would just do it. I was doing it all the time, and sort of the spiritual element of Reiki came into play at that time. Now, sometimes I couldn't really rebalance my energy with the Reiki. It was just too overwhelming. And so I kind of call this my winter of despair. The winter after he died in February, and the following winter, it was, grief is hard. And I'm sorry for your loss. I know you've had a loss, and I know that you understand what I'm talking about. And so I would bundle up and go outside. It's cold in Vermont. It's really snowy and got pretty good wind chill. But I would go to a tree in my yard. There was a birch tree that I was really drawn to, and I would just put my hands on the birch tree and just stand there. And the energy from the birch tree is what would help rebalance me. And I was so grateful for having my experience with Reiki, because I knew that I'm aware, because of Reiki, I've become aware of energy. I'm conscious of it, and I can feel it. And I knew that it was helping me feel the energy from the tree. Those trees, they're giant beings. They're full of energy. Of course, everything is energy. And they're incredible beings, and they can really help us feel better. So, so Reiki became important. It had helped me on the emotional level. It had helped me now on the spiritual level with my grief. And then I was continuing my training, and I was giving Reiki to people. And as far as the shaking went, I decided I would just tell people ahead of a session, and I would say, in my body, you may notice that I'm shaking in various ways, and that just is, as I understand it, the energy expressing itself out of my body. So it's just the energy. It's no big deal. And I have found that people don't even notice after a while. They may notice the first time, but they're just so relaxed, and some people fall asleep, so they don't even notice. But anyhow, I was getting ready to do more Reiki with people, and the pandemic hit. And so all of a sudden I couldn't put my hands on people. So I decided to go full bore into distance Reiki. And I offered it to friends and family because during the pandemic, we were so isolated. Um, Now, most of these people had never heard of Reiki before, but I was offering them this experience and I explained about it. And I asked if they would just do 4 days in a row because I knew that the first day they would probably feel very relaxed and they might think, well, maybe I should just lie down more in the day. But the second time, the third time, they're really looking forward to it. And by the third and fourth time, many of their issues are being resolved. So I did a lot of distance Reiki during the pandemic. Um, and I would say that's one of the silver linings of the pandemic for me,
Mhm.
because when I first learned distance Reiki in second degree training, I was really bewildered by the idea. And I didn't think I would ever use it, but I've come to really enjoy giving distance Reiki. And by now I've done hundreds of sessions with people. So it's helped me with my confidence in that area. So, and the other interesting part is that the shaking also happens in distance Reiki. And I find that it's kind of remarkable that I can be giving somebody Reiki in any part of the country or the world, and their energy is being resolved. The stagnation and the blockages are working themselves out through my hands. And so, what was once an obstacle, this shaking business, I have found it to be it's kind of like my gift from the universe. Um, and it can help me understand this is a place that needs more time, and I'll stay here longer. And so it's been a benefit to me. And I guess the other part about it, I think you will understand this, Tracy, having lost your sister, um, that there are things that are so much bigger than we are that we don't understand. And so this distance Reiki and this whole business, that this gift that we're given through Reiki, I liken it's the closest thing I can experience to something like an evidential medium who can talk with our loved ones on the other side. And it just gives me faith in the idea that there are things way bigger than us that we don't fully understand, but they're holding us together. This universe gives us so many different ways to help ourselves, Reiki being one of them. And so I'm just really grateful for that.
Wonderful. And I'm so sorry for your loss and
Thank
as
you.
well. But what a beautiful gift that the hospital gave you with that opportunity for your husband a husband being open to that experience. And it was
Yes.
something beautiful the two of you can share together when he was here and have that connection. So what a beautiful story.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
Well, you have been working with this energy since 2017 and out and being a Reiki master teacher, practitioner, classes, in-person sessions, and expanding your territory with distance Reiki. As you are out, navigating through the landscape of Reiki here, what is a common misconception that you're finding about Reiki?
Well, besides the woo-woo element, the other common misconception, I think, is that people don't think they can do it. Um, they think there has to be some special quality about a person to do Reiki, and there's nothing further from the truth. I mean, it's the most natural thing there is energy, and anybody can do it, and it's simple to learn, and it's meant to be simple. So I would say that's one of the most common misconceptions.
Very good. So you're out helping others with their challenges and struggles. What has been the biggest challenge or struggle that you have faced in your own healing journey?
In my own healing journey, Well, again, I would say that because it's not mainstream, um, that can get in the way of being able to give people Reiki. Not everybody is open to receiving it. And when you mention I do Reiki, and you say a little bit about it, sometimes it's conversation stopper. um, so that I just have come to accept that it's people just aren't ready for it, or they may need a few times to hear about it. Um, but it's okay. I mean, I know what I've gained from Reiki, and um, I know how powerful and what a wonderful partner it's been for me. So I just keep doing it and having fun and sharing it when I can.
Wonderful. So, what do you wish your younger self knew about Reiki?
Well, I wish I'd known about Reiki. I really wish I'd known about Reiki long ago. Um, I think, I'm so sorry, Tracy. I was worried this might happen. um, so,
from 802-917-9833.
okay. I wish my, all right. Okay. I wish that I had known about Reiki when I was younger. And I I wish that I had been more open to things like Reiki. I think as a younger person, I was more fearful of these things, and I think when you have sort of um, suffered through life's blows, you're more open to different modes of healing that are out there. You become more open to it. So I would say being open would have been something I would have liked as a younger person.
Very good. So, when it is time for you to get your energetic tune up, what are some qualities that you look for in a Reiki practitioner?
Well, if there's anything information I can get about a practitioner's reputation, that would be something. Really wanting to have somebody to connect purely with the Reiki energy, have a lot of integrity, and just pretty much purely giving me Reiki. So I would say the integrity of the person.
Very good. So, what advice would you give someone who's just taking their first step on their journey towards practitioner or master teacher?
Well, I feel it's really important to have done a lot of practice on yourself. So you have your own, you can speak from experience, and also with offering it to a lot of people before you go out and give your first session that you're exchanging, and asking to be paid for, so that you really develop your confidence. So I would encourage people to take time, practice on yourself a whole lot, offer it and practice it with others a lot before you start hanging up the sign.
Very good. That is some great advice. People get so eager that they want to do it like the very next day, right? Have that business up. But you really need to take that time and marinate and cultivate that relationship with the energy. And I liked how you said, a partner. You
Mhm.
considered it a partner.
Yes.
So, what books do you recommend?
Well, of course, I've read a number of Reiki books, but I thought I'd mention a few other books. One of the books that I've enjoyed, I mentioned about the healing energy of trees, and that is the name of a book that is called The Healing Energy of Trees. And this book talks about the different kinds of trees and the different energy that they give. So that's been really fun to learn about. Another book that I've really enjoyed is The Hidden Messages of Water by Dr. Emoto. I love this book because he talks about how the structure of water changes with our thoughts. And it makes so much sense to me with the Reiki practice because we pay a lot of attention to our thoughts when we practice Reiki. And so knowing that there's a scientist who has taken pictures of these water crystals and how they've responded to, in any language, the words of love or gratitude, it's just been wonderful to make that connection together. I've really enjoyed Bruce Lipton's work and Beverly Rubik's work, listening to their podcasts or reading their books. And just one more person I'd like to mention is Wim Hof, the Iceman.
Yes.
I love Wim Hof, and I find his methods, I use his methods, his breathing techniques, and his cold water therapy, ice bath techniques. I find them very useful. His book and his teachings caught my interest at the time that my husband was sick, and I knew that he had been through grief, and I knew that that was coming my way. And so I thought I better start doing this and working this practice into my life. And I still use it for aches and pains and for just getting reset and feeling really invigorated for the day. So he's another great one. So those would be a few books I mentioned.
Well, thank you for sharing that. This is a wonderful collection of books that you've gathered, to prepare your energetic toolbox for grief coming. So you were getting things ready in the process. So
that's right.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So what other services do you offer? Do you offer classes, events, trainings?
Yes. So I offer in-person sessions, distance Reiki, and I teach levels 1 and level 2 Reiki. So those are the other services I offer.
Wonderful. So where can we find you if we want a session? Do you do in person, online? How can we get a hold of you?
Well, I have a website, and it is Lost, like you can't find it, Lost Forest Reiki. That's my website. That's mostly how I get my information out.
Beautiful. And you do also online, as you said, distance sessions?
Yes, I do distance Reiki as well as in person and the classes.
Okay. And the classes, the trainings can be done online as well?
No, I only do the trainings in person. I only do those in person. Yes. So I haven't ventured into online trainings, but I enjoy the in-person classes. I also, for my students, I do weekly meditations, and we do a meditation together and a Reiki practice. So that is another thing that I offer. And if any listener was interested in joining that online, they could reach out to me. Be very happy to have them join.
Wonderful. And you're also a tennis coach, right? So
I'm also a tennis coach. Yes, that's right.
So, and do you do private lessons for that, or?
Well, at the moment, I'm coaching for a girls' high school tennis team. I've done that since 2010, and it's really a great joy of mine. I just love it. Yeah, but that's a spring thing, so I do that in the spring.
Okay, very good, very good. All right, so that ends the first part of our journey, and I'm going to continue to guide you to the next part of our journey, which is the social media questions. So gather questions from listeners and Reiki students. And so here we go. Let's begin. Number 1, how can Reiki be a resource for people who are dealing with or supporting others with health challenges?
Reiki is an incredible resource for that very reason. When you are supporting somebody with a health challenge, all of a sudden you are taking on all the other chores that the other person helped with. You may be helping the person, your loved one, doing things that you weren't used to doing, lifting, all kinds of things on your joints that can be strained from the extra things that you're doing. not to mention all of the emotional stress that you're carrying. It can show up as tension in your shoulders or tension headache in your jaw, just all over your body. So the stress and strain is incredible when you're taking care of a loved one who is really sick, and watching their suffering. It's difficult. And in addition, the person who has the condition, that's just really awful. They just can't get a break from whatever they're dealing with the pain, but they're also dealing with the anxiety of what's going to happen to me and what's going to happen to my family. So Reiki is really a wonderful modality because Reiki helps to just get the energy flowing and reduce that stress and strain and help to just wash it away. Reiki is offered, through hospice or respite house, and watching those people. I have done some volunteering at the respite house and for hospice, and seeing the people after a session, they're just so much more relaxed and they just feel much more like themselves, and they're so grateful. It's just a perfect sort of a complementary therapy for people undergoing an awful lot of stress.
Right, right. I know in my journey, after my sister passed, from the grief, our father just, the life was just sucked out of him. And it was a few months later that he himself ended up in the hospital. And we eventually lost him the next year. But that became such a tool to use in the hospital when he was in the ICU, and not only to help if they were accepting of it, the nurses, because they were up all night caring, and I would come in the morning and they did, we worked so hard to keep your dad alive. And, that's a gift that you can give them, if they're open to it. But yeah, that was a tool that really came in handy through that experience of his very long illness and through hospice. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, instead of wringing your hands and saying, I wish there was something I could do, you put your hands on the people, and it's just so wonderful to be able to at least offer something. And it's not just something. I mean, it's really beneficial. It really helps.
Right. And it was a learning experience for me as well, because, the goal of the intention was get you better, get you better, get you better, get you better. My father, I mean, every health, hurdle he jumped over, and it just got to a point in his journey that I came in one day and he just was done. And then I realized, wow, I'm putting what I want on him. This is his journey. So then I began to shift, and then it was just that transition towards, dying and helping him with grace and ease with that. So, so it helped everybody kind of in that transition as well with it. So, well, very good learning experience with it, and ways that you can use Reiki, not only hoping to get somebody better, but that's a part of his journey. So we can at least have this done with ease and grace.
Yes. And I think that the whole aspect of what you're offering through the Reiki for your father, it's all underlying it is the spirit of love that I'm sure was just filling the room and helping him so much.
Sure.
And I'm sure that meant just so much to him.
Right. Our second question is, how can Reiki help cope with grief?
Well, grief is it's a trauma. Of course, everybody has a different experience, but some of the things that I felt with grief, I felt like I had a concussion. And there is something called grief brain, and your brain doesn't work like it normally works. I felt like I was walking around with a weighted cloak on my shoulders. I just felt so heavy. And it was a long time before I felt like I could actually stand up. I noticed that I was actually standing up straight again. I mean, it was many, many months. And it can be overwhelming. You have feelings of it's overwhelming. You can have anxiety. there's a lot of heaviness with grief, and Reiki is perfect for grief because Reiki is pure undifferentiated energy, and it can help to raise the level of that vibration to a higher frequency. It gets the energy flowing in you. It brings a sense of vitality again, and people finish a Reiki session and they feel more like themselves. So it's like a reset. It's a really, really valuable thing. And so I say anybody that's going through grief, you really need to support yourself, whether it's Reiki or other modes of healing like meditation or cranial sacral therapy, just getting some extra help to get you through that, through the initially hard period. You don't ever really get over grief, I don't think. I think you just grow. You grow around grief. You grow as you experience life with the losses. But Reiki can be very, very helpful for grief.
Right. I think anyone who goes through any type of health challenge, and especially hospice, there needs to be one family member among them to have the certification in Reiki. I always say that with nursing. Every family needs a nurse in it, right? To help guide you through these things, to navigate it. But I mean, you have, caretaker fatigue. That's a real thing. And you're dealing with all of these emotions, and, Reiki's not going to be that eraser to erase everything, but it's going to help you navigate through these challenges. There were different times where I would walk into a store or I would see something and it would make me think of my sister. And 4 years ago, it would take me to this place of despair where I was crying and why her? But now I just pause and ask the Reiki to flow. And then it's just from a place of love. And it makes me think, she would love this so much. So I'm not to that gripping place again of why and diving into that anger again. So,
right. Yeah. And you're so right about, Reiki isn't going to solve it. It's like you don't go to the store and buy one Tylenol. You buy bottle of Tylenol because you're going to have a lot of headaches and a lot of
sure.
So it's not like it's going to take care of it forever, but it takes care of the stress for that little day, and then the stress comes again. So you do, that's why it's so helpful, like you say, to have one person in every family or maybe two trained in Reiki. Oh my gosh, what a great thing that would be. It'd be so awesome.
To bring that in. Because it's cumulative. You think you're okay. That's why it's a journey, right? Not a destination. There's no there. So you never know along your path what's going to be shown to you or revealed to you. Oh my goodness, what the emotions coming over. But now you have the tools to kind of, okay, let's stop and redirect with that. So, and bringing from a place of love instead of, I'm really angry she's not here. Why isn't she here? But okay, she would have loved this. She would have loved seeing this in the store. She would have loved this picture. So that's a beautiful way to remember her by.
That's right. Yeah.
So our third question is, when giving or receiving Reiki, do you prefer online or in person?
Well, if somebody was nearby and able to come see me, I always love in person because I just love being with people. But at the same time, I love distance Reiki as well. I just so appreciate that if there is somebody who's really suffering and unable to come receive Reiki, you can offer it as distance. Or if your family member calls and says, "Oh, I've hurt my foot. I haven't been able to hike for several weeks. Nothing's helping." You could say, "Well, would you like to try some Reiki? Let's see what happens." So we do a bunch of Reiki. Or a friend calls and says, my son had a stroke. He's in Switzerland. He's in the hospital. They're so distraught. Could you please give them Reiki just to help them? I love the fact that there is that option. It's really amazing. So I love giving Reiki, period. And as you know, when you give Reiki, you're receiving it as well. So you feel better. So it's a really wonderful practice. Yeah.
Very good. Well, that was our last question. And as we were talking, is there anything that you have forgotten or something that you would like to mention or say to our listeners?
Well, I guess I would say Reiki is meant to be fun. I mean, of course you can use it. We've talked about kind of serious things about Reiki
Of
with all the
course.
grief and so forth. But there are so many creative ways to use Reiki. And that's one of the things I love about it. So I would encourage people who are doing one thing, if you've taken second degree Reiki, I would say don't abandon the symbols. Use the symbols. They're very powerful and they can be used in so many fun, interesting ways. One of the things that I was playing around with when I was playing competitive tennis is, when you're playing a match, you can get kind of overrun with nerves and not play your best. And so I decided I would use the symbols during a tennis match. I was using them over and over again before every point. And I did this for 2 matches. They were on different weekends. And I played almost flawless tennis. And it's not, I wished I could have experimented more with it, but I've had a back condition, so I haven't been able to play competitive tennis. But that's an example of like some far out thing you could try these symbols with. I'm sure you have had some fun examples of how you can use symbols that you might not, that somebody else might not think of doing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I walked, I do a sleepy Reiki class and guided them through this hot balloon meditation. And everyone in the group, they were master teachers. So it was a safe place to, bring in the symbols by their names. And imagining on the canopy of the hot air balloon, the symbols on there, right? And just imagining they were kind of sprinkling over as they're hovering over the land, the symbols over, different parts of the world that they felt that the Reiki needed to go to. So you can get completely creative in what you do with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's so, it's so broad. You can do lots of things with Reiki.
Yeah.
It can help you in so many ways. So
there's like Reiki bubble. You can put the symbols on your feet and have Reiki trails. So there's lots of unique ways to spread it without others really being aware of what you're doing.
That's right.
But always permission.
Yes. Right.
All right, Amy. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on this journey. It's been absolutely lovely. Thank you for, being so honest and sharing your story with us. So I'm sure someone out there's listening and, going through a similar struggle, and it could really help them with this. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Yeah, it was great. It was great talking with you, Tracy. Have a great day.
Wonderful. All right, my wonderful listeners, if you would like your question featured on Ready Set Reiki, reach out at www.readysetreiki.com or check me out on social media as well. Also, check out Feather Sister Wellness, which offers a variety of yoga classes, yoga trainings, and Reiki trainings. My name's Tracy C. Wright, and this has been Ready Set Reiki.